Hey guys, thanks for coming back. This weekend I saw 300 Rise of an Empire starring Eva Green, Sullivan Stapleton, and of course the wonderful, beautiful, and talented Lena Headey. This is With the K Review. I'm Victor. It's time for a bunch of us guys to get together, take off our shirts, and I just realized how that... no.
With a K review. It's VIC?
No, it's with a K.
Oh.
So a few months ago when I saw that there was going to be a sequel to the movie 300, I was like, how is there going to be a sequel to a movie, when everybody died in the end, it sank? Now, first off, this movie is not directed by Zack Snyder, and if you're happy or sad about that, I don't really know. It depends on how you liked Man of Steel, where he did not use the slow-mo. Now, we have to give him credit for that. That, at least. No hate comments, please. Now, for this movie, we do have a new director by the name of Nam Moreau. And Nam Moreau has done like one other movie in his past. It was called Smart People with Ellen Page. And I haven't seen that one, so I can't really compare his directing style between that and this one. But what I have to say is that this is his first really big movie, and that does come into play. I'm going to get to that a little bit later in the review. Now, in 300 Rise of an Empire, I really thought this movie was going to be like a direct sequel. Like right when the 300 battle got done with, I thought we were going to have like a direct sequel. But when I started watching it, I was really confused, more than I am usually. Because in the first hour of this movie, it's more like a prequel than it is a sequel. And what I mean by that is that Themistocles, who's played by Sullivan Stapleton, that guy is trying to get Spartans to join his army so he can go attack the Persians on the sea. And that is the exact same scene that you see during the 300 battle. And really, that's how this movie goes for like the first hour. And I didn't really mind that first hour of the movie. It's just that I didn't really understand why they had to have a whole hour based on that part of the story. Because in that whole hour, I mean, they really could have glossed over that in like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And it really wouldn't have mattered. Because what I was really interested in was a little bit of blood, bone, and boobs. Beat of the three. And even with that first hour being like the exposition, they do have a lot of really good fights and so forth. And I do feel like it dragged just a little bit. But there is one character that is introduced in the beginning of that, which is Artemis, who's played by Eva Green. I really screwed up that character's name. I apologize, but let's keep going. I just looked down at my paper again. It's Artemisma, I think. Artemisma. But anyway, she is like this really kind of hot goth girl that you like. I guarantee she's the girl that you saw in high school if you're a guy, or if you're a girl, no judging here, that you thought was really hot, but you thought you would be made fun of if you talked to her or tried to date her. And she does a really good job in this movie. It's sort of like Lena Headey's character, and a lot of people have been comparing her this to like Lena Headey's character from Dredd. But she does a really good job as the villain in this movie, and she does a really good job playing off of Sullivan Stapleton's character Themistocles. And I really like their interaction, but there's one little bit of a problem with the movie, and it has to do with Themistocles. And there's not really a problem with Themistocles, it's just like every time I saw him on screen, I just really didn't feel like he had that ferocity like Leonidas did in the first one. Leonidas, man, that guy sported the first Norris beard, and he had that screen presence that made him go, "Urgh." And then I saw Themistocles on the screen, and I was like, this guy kind of has it, but again, he just didn't have that quite of a roar like Leonidas did in every one of his scenes. I mean, like, he has, where he talks to his generals and so forth, and he's like, I want you guys to fight for us and everything. This is the worst impression of the character ever. But not every movie can be like its predecessor. It has to be a little bit different. It has to try a few different things. And I think this director was really trying to outdo Zack Snyder because this was even more slow-mo than there was in the first one. The first one, I think, had like 30 minutes of slow-mo, but this one really outdid itself in that area. I think what this movie was trying too hard to do was it was trying to really be like the first one, but really amp everything up. In the first one, like the green screening and so forth was really well done by Zack Snyder. And in this one, it really seems like they turned up a lot of the highlights and the contrast in the movie. Like there's this one scene where they're like inside of a hut, and you can see the particles in the air. And every time that I did it, I was just like, somebody can just wave that out of the camera, please. I just can't stand it. And that's what this director really tried to do in this movie. He was really, really trying to outdo Zack Snyder, and it really came across heavy-handed. But again, this is a movie about, guys beating each other to death with swords and so forth, and then you have a really badass chick in it. You can't really expect much more from a 300 movie because the first one had that like little niche part of it, and this one was really trying to outdo that one a little bit much. And even though it was trying to do this, and even though it had a lot of the same storylines as the first one, especially the father-son thing that happened in the first one, this one tried to do as well, and it did not come across that well. This movie still does have that little bit of charm to it. Not because it has blood blood or boobs or a sexy fight scene, which I swear, that is what when it was on the screen, that's what it's called. Trust me, I'm not going to say who it was between, but best sexy fight scene I've ever seen. So in the end, 300 Rise of an Empire was a movie where you go to see it and you're like, you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get violence upon violence and everything else. You're going to get shirtless, naked people, 12-foot tall people in the movie, and you're just going to get a lot of stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. But when I left the theater, I actually did enjoy it because this movie is kind of like a guilty pleasure. And I'm going to have to give this movie just a regular 3K review. I'm going to say right now is if you want to go see this as a matinee, that's a good price for your money. And as well, when it comes out on video, when it starts to stream, make sure to rent it. And you know what? You're going to have a good time. Make sure, to be shirtless or whatever. Again, not in public because that is wrong, okay? Thank you. Thanks, guys, for watching my show. I do really appreciate all the viewers and subscribers that I do have. Make sure to click up here if you want to see any of my past reviews. Make sure to click on the K right there if you want to subscribe. Make sure to click your keys, CYK. Tell me, do you want to see a third 300 movie? Because this one ended just like the second Hobbit one did. Trust me, if you see the movie, you know what I mean. And you know what? Never forget. It's not VICK. It's not VIC. It's just Victor with a K. And that's me. Thanks, guys. Pew!